To start, in your opinion, what is necessary to reach higher recycling?
I can start. It's a very big question. There's a lot to do. Like Helmut already said, so far it has been a poor performance. I would say in the first step, it needs discussions like this, like panel discussions, and it needs awareness. First of all, it needs, we are poor in our efforts to close loops. So here it needs, first of all, as I said, an awareness that the current situation is not satisfactory, and it's not even satisfactory. We have to change it now. That's important. As a second, I would say it is the design of our products that is very important. When we look at, I look at Helmut, the yellow sack in Germany, or just the plastic that we can collect in a supermarket nowadays, or even in the industry. It's a whole range of so many different types and additives and stuff what's inside. And that makes it very, very difficult to bring it in the loop again, and to classify it, and to bring it back into a product, and not into a poor product, but in a quality product. Therefore, the circular design aspect is very, very important. And as a third point, I would say partnership. So like we do today, but in general, we need partnerships between the industry, the different types in the loop. The loop is very complex, that we have to operate in a circular economy in closed loops. And these partnerships are important, and confidence that these partnerships are working, and that we have, that we really know that we can rely on our partners in this loop. I think these are 3 points that I see at the moment that are very important to actually start it.
Christian, your business is this bringing partners together. Maybe you want to add something?
Yeah, 3 words I would add. Andreas, thanks. I mean, it's all about the 3 words of level the playing field. That's 4 words actually. Well, so it's 4 words, but it's sorry. But that level the playing field to virgin plastic, because as we operate in a market economy, everything works if there's business to be made, right? Investments flow, R&D flows, design for recycling follows, everything that, as long as we live in market economies, I believe you have to create the conditions to level the playing field that recycled plastic stands a chance in the market to compete on quality, quantity, and price with virgin. So everything that we're hopefully going to discuss and touch on today with all the experts here, Helmut, Andreas, Martin, of course, whether it's standardization, design for recycling, or regulatory corrections in the market, they all, in my opinion, serve this one cause. Because if we do get there eventually, that the head of procurement of Procter & Gamble has no economic reason anymore to switch first and foremost, to use first and foremost virgin plastic, but rather can have a similar or even the same quality in recycled plastic at a same price or cheaper even than virgin plastic, then there we have it. The loop is closed, because then it's just a no-brainer then to go for the more ecological and at the same time also economical choice in plastics. And then this material has a great future, which I think we all agree is it's not an option to switch away from plastic and just say, let's do everything in paper and glass now.
Yeah, I would like to agree, if I may, put it just in a short sentence as well. We have to give recycled plastic a value. So these days it has no value, so nobody takes care for that. It's throwing it away. It ends up in the ocean. It ends up everywhere. And a right step to change that has been made by the EU Parliament, Council, and Commission by introducing a minimum content regulation for the first time in history, in the global history even, for PET. And PET in this case is a front runner. the regulation says you have to use 25% recyclates starting for the first time in the year 2025 for drink bottles for non-alcoholic drinks like mineral water, like sodas, etc. in the European market. So we are talking about a big market, a powerful market, and we are talking now about an obligation for those who would like to sell, who would like to participate in that market, that they have to prove 25% recyclates in each bottle by the year 2025. And what Christian already described very well is that we have now market forces. And if I look into the 4 big brands, global big brands, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, Danone, and Nestle, these are the 4 big players worldwide. PepsiCo announced that they can provide 100% rPET, not in 2025, but in 2022. And that puts a lot of pressure in the market, and that makes rPET a very valuable good. The price for rPET is even higher than the price for virgin PET. And just this morning, if you read the press, I read an announcement made by the biggest bottle producer worldwide. It's an Austrian company, by the way, European company. It's a company named Alpla, company with about 18,000 employees, like REHAU too. And they announced that they switch with the investment from a promise to have 50 million euro till 2025. And they changed it in 50 million each year up to 2025. And they do this investment because there is a growing market. And if you sell your bottle to the consumer who's waiting for recycled content, by the way, it is the consumer waiting for that. And if you can sell in 2022, which is next year, 100% rPET in all Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, this is the starting region, you put a lot of pressure on the competitors. And that is like a very interesting effect in the value chain. And that was named as well. We need to see at the value chain. And if those who need that material give a clear signal to Alpla and others, I'm interested to buy it. And I can give you a guarantee that it is not just for 2022, but all the following years, then you can do your investment, then a business starts. And this is the starting point with PT. 10% of the packaging market is PT. We should discuss what do we do with PE, PP. I think Christian has a lot of that material in his market platform as well. It's not selling as good as PET right now, but we have the obligation, we have the tools, we have the recipes to change that.
I would just like to add something what Helmut said, and that is very often underestimated. We have here disruptive times, and we have factors, regulation, society, front runners that accelerate the whole process. Very often I came across people here in my company, but as well externally, saying, yeah, but this will take another 3, 4, 5 years until we get the specification from the Standardization and so on. That's not the point, and maybe Christian can tell us something about that as well. But this acceleration catalyst that we have in the market at the moment are so high, and industry, and especially chemistry, here on the conference, they have to aware of this dynamic that we have got in the market. I think that is very important. It's not the way it's going to go like the last 10 or 15 years. Very slowly, no, it's really dynamic. And as you said, the big players in the market, and not just them, but as well like Unilever and like Johnson & Johnson, they are pushing as well because the consumers want it. But sometimes we don't know because we don't survey. We don't ask them.
Martin, do you have anything to add?
I think quality control and standardization is, well, sometimes a bit slow, but there are possible other ways, like our DIN specification we are doing together with or which was we have a great group with Surplus. Green Point is part of it. REHAU also gave us information what is really important for that, and I think standardization and quality control will still be a very important part for the materials. And well, if we give the material a value, it's also possible to to do the quality control that we need to get good materials, to have upcycling, not just downcycling. And PET shows it works. PET has good standards since several years, so I think we need these qualities also for other materials, PE, PP, PA. There's still very much to do, and we have to be fast because of the Green Deal. That's a very important thing. Yeah.
Martin, you mentioned that standardization is necessary. Christian, how do you see as a marketplace this point? How will the role of standardization be part of developing the recycling of plastic materials?
Well, paramount. Like, I can only stress that what I said earlier again. In the end, it must be like trading recyclates must become like trading virgin, as standardized and as a commodity, right? Today we don't have commodities in recyclates trading. I mean, today it's one-on-one business. Yeah, Helmut, I know you can sing a song of that. So you have a company that's interested in doing more recyclates in their application, so they have to go to a supplier and see if this works for their product. They probably have to change the recipe for, and if you think about how that problem multiplies, the higher you go in the technical demand for a plastic product, you see how tricky it is for any brand owner today to switch suppliers, right? And if you think in supply chains, again, Corona made it very aware, you know, if you're a big brand owner, the one thing you're afraid of is a disruption in your supply chain, because then you cannot produce any packaging anymore, or any car parts or whatever it is. So then to be stuck with a very limited amount of suppliers today who can really hit that one technical specification for your product is a problem. And it's also, like, from a market point of view, a problem, because then the power lies with the supplier, right, and can dominate the market, right? And as a buyer, I would like to have choice. But I think in my example of a marketplace, I think it becomes immediately clear to everyone when you think about how you're buying on marketplaces in the B2C world. You go to Amazon or eBay or the other ones, and you go there and you buy stuff because you can rely on the reviews and the technical specifications of the product, right? You get it, you get what you buy. Already with used cars, it gets a bit trickier, because you want to make sure it's a used car. Does the used car really fulfill the technical requirements that I need? And the problem just multiplies when you think about all the technical, like the chemical and mechanical aspects that plastics have to fulfill today for my very specific plastic product. Yeah, so standardization, what we started with the DIN spec, is exactly about that, somewhat creating or making recyclate more of a commodity. And with that, we bring down the cost for producers of recyclates and make it easier to scale production, which is what is needed to really switch away from virgin to recyclates.
Yeah, I agree with that. Standardization, upscaling, very important words. When the question is brought up that why in the past it didn't work, there's one really simple answer, because not all the cost, or a lot of cost, that is related with plastic, with the production of plastic products, is externalized. If those who sell virgin plastic have to pay for the cost of cleaning the ocean, the price would quadruple or whatever. Yeah, it would make all the recyclables so competitive just tomorrow. So, and I think that is really the change of paradigm that we have seen here in Germany 30 years ago with the environment minister at that time, Professor Töpfer, who, by the way, was not a crazy green politician or a crazy man from the DG Environment. I mean, I'm working in Brussels for 30 years, and I know how they complain about the crazy commission that puts so much pressure on us, and that brings up the single-use plastic directive, which was in the media here 2 years ago. The banana problem is solved, and the cucumber problem is solved, and now they regulate the straws and the Q-tips. Yes, that is for the window, for the showcase. But if you go into the text, you find the minimal content regulation, which is really a game changer already after not even 2 years. And that is the path we have to follow. That if you include all the costs in the product price, then you will find a development that we need. If you have a chance to externalize, if you shift your cost to, I don't know whom, the municipality of Jakarta, the city of Beijing, who's paying for that? And because your material, sorry for that expression, but it's coming from my engineering colleagues, if you put shit in, you get shit out. So we have to work on the quality of the products. If you give that product a value, and I know that there's a lot of experts, even in the plastic industry, I know some in Borealis, for example, saying, yeah, we would be happy to produce quality products because plastics is not something that we have to bash. That's not something that is evil. It is a valuable product, and it is so successful because you can do everything with it. You can use it in automotive sector, you can use it in the packaging sector, you can do whatever you want with that. And I like the word Kunststoff in German because it expresses a lot more than the English word of plastic, that it is something artificial, it's something that we design, and we have the freedom to design it in the right direction or in the wrong direction. And what I see or experience today is that we design a lot in the wrong direction, where we do not integrate all the costs. And I predict after 30 years working for the Green Dot that the time is over now. And we will see a lot of, in quotation mark, punishment of the industry if there's no reaction. It has started with the 800 euro plastic tax introduced by a politician who's a member of the Conservative Party in Baden-Württemberg, who was the Commissioner for Finance on the European level, to finance the Brexit. Once we are over Corona, I think the financial gap that we have to finance is much, much bigger than the Brexit gap. And I don't want to imagine the fantasy, what level or what type of taxes we need to fill this gap, and who is the guy all the fingers will point on. And plastic is a good candidate for that. So we have to prove the will, the political will. There is the ability. There are so many technical solutions already. We don't use them. And this is what we have to get on running along, and it was mentioned by the other speakers already, along the value chain. We have to cooperate. We need the dialogue like this one here.
I think Helmut and Christian already answered some aspects of Holger's questions in the chat. Holger asked, Christian mentioned that everything is possible in our capitalism, what sells, where business model is. However, is our world now at a turning point from a society perspective as well as from the finance perspective? Not every idea which worked in the past will find its market tomorrow. What is the opinion in this panel?
I would like to add something because it's a day-to-day business, I would say, especially the finance perspective. We can see from external investors, external banks, and so on, that there is a high pressure on corporates nowadays to have a long-term running business. And we're talking now about stakeholder capitalism, not shareholder capitalism. And in the stakeholder capitalism, there are different stakeholders, employees, there are suppliers, there are the customers, there are the banks, whatever. And now the direction is the long term. Long term means 5 to 10 years. And everybody has to show, the company has to show, is their business stable in these certain times? And when we are discussing here that the time is over for a linear economy and that we start into a circular economy and that we have to change something in the material and in the use the technologies that are already available and are there, and then we have to do it. Otherwise, we will have a problem with the finance perspective and with the banks that are financing our business. That is one thing, and the other thing are the consumers that we already discussed. We will see as well that consumers will have a strong view on what companies are doing, and especially in the plastic sector. This is very, very important, and we could see it from the pictures in 2018. And I got the emails from schools and from politicians and from everywhere in this year in 2018, where we saw all the pictures of the littering in the oceans, that they said, okay, do you really have the right business model? Do you really want to carry on like that? What are you doing to save the earth and prevent from littering of the ocean? So as already said, as the time is over, we have to change something. And from different sides, there will be pressure, and it's already pressure there. And we will see that there has to be a change. Otherwise, when we are not changing, when we are not transforming our business models, we will have a problem in the future, in the near future, not in 10 years. I'm pretty sure about that.
Martin, do you have any input?
Yes, I think it's also important, this plastic bashing will become a huge problem also for the companies to get good people working in the plastic sector is not very attractive for many people. We are working together with some universities, and we can see that the number of students for plastic, there's at our here in South Westphalia, there's university where you can study plastic technology, and the number of students are decreasing every year, and we need these people to get the know-how to change the circular and or the plastic industry to a circular economy. So it's important that we do something against this bashing to have the people for the R&D.
If I may add, Martin, absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And I think when with this whole new paradigm of circular economy, in German we used to, somewhat out of fashion come this word of Kreislaufwirtschaft. Yeah. But I think in English it has a completely new ring. And I can say from when I started the business, a lot of the investors still, that has changed dramatically already in the last 2 years. The investors that we spoke with, venture capital mostly, they said, oh, Christian, recycling, that's not really an attractive business model, low margins, fragmented markets, high price volatility. But then all of a sudden you change the word from recycling to circular economy. Oh, that's great, amazing. I'm going to put my money here. It's amazing. That's the next big thing. Like they call it. Sustainable is the new digital now. That like there's really a heavy push from the investor side, and I think some of the audience are also from the VC world. That I can say when those who finance change, and venture capital often being at the forefront, they're really interested in that sector right now. And I can see fellow co-founders in the waste management sector, if it's AI-based waste recognition to improve sorting technology, if it's logistics improvement for waste management. I mean, there's so much going on. It's very exciting. And I can say, Martin, luckily, so we as Surplus, we don't suffer so much from the bad reputation from plastic, because we kind of say, we want to change it. We want to make it better. But we also say, don't be a plastic hater, but be a hater of plastic in the environment. And I think that's the way forward for the plastic industry as a whole, to say, hey, and especially the petrochemical industry, hey, there is something to be really reshaped here now. Yes, we have not done our homework in the past. That's why we see the millions of tons of plastic waste in the ocean, but this material has a future. And if I may just draw the audience attention to one thing that amazes me, and I watch it every day. You saw the Perseverance landing on Mars. And without plastic, that wouldn't be possible. Right? And I always found that perseverance is a good key word for landing on the Mars. And maybe we need after the moon landing now and the Mars landing. Now it's kind of a Mars landing for plastic to make it circular. But then I'm 100% sure, Martin, that this will attract so much talent, because you want to be part of the change. You want to be part of an economy that is sustainable and growing at the same time. Because to finish off on Holger's comment, I think capitalism gets a bad rep because it exploits the planetary boundaries of our planet too much. But I believe in business models that are actually operating within the planetary boundaries, and I could consider surplus as part of that. I want surplus to grow, because it means that we're trading more plastic, more recycled plastic will find its way to the market. Yeah. So I'm not against growth, and not at all. I'm just saying it should grow within the planetary boundaries. And I think there's so much opportunities for the chemical industry, for the recycling industry, for the plastic testing labs, for the brand owners, that it's like a greenfield right now. And I'm very excited for the next years to come, even though the change might seem hard to come, but I really feel it's picking up pace now.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you're ready to rethink your business model, and if you are ready to change, and you're not alone under pressure to change. I was invited to the headquarters of British Petroleum in London to give a speech, and if you look into the traffic world, if you look about the future of gas stations, their classical role is over. So they will change to what they call mobility centers. I don't know whether this idea will fly, but it's just another example, very close, by the way, to crude oil, which is the basis for a lot of plastic as well, that we need this positive change, that we have to build new business models. And surplus is an excellent example where you can create new jobs. We keep the material in the loop by taking it and selling it again to others that need it. And this narrative is very important, and Martin mentioned that. I have exactly the same experience in another field because we are dealing with packaging, as you know, and there are 6 universities in Germany that educate packaging engineers in 6 big cities. And there's the same experience because packaging is not everybody's darling as well. You all know the unpacked or the package-free shops that are opening up in many cities, and plastic and packaging is the worst. If you add these 2 words, nobody will study that. So 5 years ago, I was participating in a discussion with professors from all these 6 universities, and they were discussing and complaining that less and less students are applying to study that packaging engineering. And the colleague from Leipzig was the first one who had the good idea and said, we have to change the bachelor and the master content. We have to put sustainability elements in the study program. And this is the message we have to sell. You are not the problem producer, you are the problem solver. We need you, because I think if we discuss it in a good and fact-based way, a lot of people would agree we need packaging to protect, to save CO2 emissions, for whatever reason we need them. And if you sell your engineering bachelor or master as a product to the young people, and there's a lot of competition from different universities for the brilliant minds. Unfortunately, in every year of birth, you have a limited number of these people. I don't know a year of birth where we have the 100% figure. You might have maybe 20, 25% high flyers. So everybody's interested in that, in them. And you have to be attractive to get them into your field. Same for plastic as for packaging. And then changing the bachelor and the master content by saying in the title, this is packaging engineering and sustainability, was not accepted by the university. It was a 2-year fight of this professor, his students, and other companies that are supporting them to get the management of the university, to convince the management of the university that this is needed. And this, for me, was a perfect example how big the obstacles still are to get things running. And I think we have to discuss all these obstacles, all these oppositions in quotation marks. We have to find out why and then to fight them, because otherwise, I can see that we have tens of thousands of customers, a lot of them knocking on our doors and saying, yeah, we would like to license packaging, but plastic is out. We would like to have alternatives, but no plastics. And you cannot convince them anymore. And the argument is the consumer doesn't accept it anymore. The retailers are not accepting it. And even if you have good arguments, and we are part of the plastic value chain, we are recyclers, we are interested in plastics, we're making business with the plastics. Yeah, that has to change.
Thanks. Holger has a comment to this, and he agrees with you, Helmut. And the question in that regard he has is whether we educate our people well or in the right way. Maybe a combination.
I would like to add something to this question here, and say the education is very important. That's as well day-to-day business. We need in our company sustainability ambassadors or ambassadors for circular economy. But I don't get them from university at the moment. I don't get them because at university, I'm lecturer in an MBA, and I've got the sustainability part. And these students come from all over the world, from different directions, from the finance sector, from industry, from different continents. And they say, okay, we need this education. We need it as a compulsory course. And at the moment, it's just starting at a few universities that we see that we need in mechanical engineering, in electrical engineering, in civil engineering, in business administration, in the MBA courses, in social. We need this basic knowledge of the circular economy, because we cannot transform a linear economy to a circular economy if we don't have the foundation for this, and this is education and people who know it. We know from Scandinavia, I think in Finland is it, that in schools, not at universities, in the school level, they have already courses on circular economy. My sons have already had projects on circular economy in a private school, but in general, this is all required. And the industry, like they did like 20 years ago when they said, okay, we need more business in schools, they have to say, force the schools and the universities to say, hey, we need these people at certain point in production, in product management, everywhere, that have a basic knowledge of circular economy and of recycling aspects, not just in chemistry. I think in packaging is very important, but there are more and broader fields that we have to address. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Definitely not.
We have talked a lot about the industry part, but if we look at the other side, how can end users optimize or help to optimize recycling?
Well, maybe I start because I'm responsible for the communication here. When it started with Töpfer 30 years ago, he said, there's 100% responsibility of industry to finance collection, sorting, and recycling. Dot. And when I was invited in panel discussion, especially with my French colleagues, and in France at that time it was a green environment minister, Mr. Bruce Lalonde from the Atlantic Ocean. I remember him because I was with him in a panel discussion as well. And I said, "Hi, can you tell me what German companies have to pay?" And then I tell you my figures. Why? Because he introduced so-called share responsibility. And from a strategic point, I think that's nonsense. We ask the consumer to do one job, and that is the pre-sorting. And that's the main job. Consumers do not have to become experts in plastics. Sorry for that. The message to the consumer is, we are the experts, but we make it as simple as possible in communication and as simple as possible in your extra work. Separate collection is extra work. It's more complicated than throwing everything in one bin. This is what I hear always in European discussion. Yeah, you in Germany, you do that because it's part of your genetic substance. You have this separation gene or chromosome even, because you're so much focused on that. But we in Spain and Italy, we will never get this done. But if you make it the consumer simple, easy for the consumer, and if you create a simple system, then it is at least 50% of your success. And let me explain it with a neighboring country which is close to Cologne, which is Belgium. It's a rich country. And for 20 years, the communication was, we make a separate collection for the PET bottle because they are recyclable. And this is nonsense. The other plastics are recyclable as well. And now my colleagues are fighting there to get 20 years of wrong communication out of their heads. Congratulations, it's a huge job. You have to be honest to tell the people we are still not able to recycle everything. We still have to put a lot of the plastic into, for example, energetic recovery. Landfilling is phased out in this country. Yeah, but we cannot do all plastic. A lot of consumers expect that put into mechanical recycling because we don't have the technology, because we don't have the financing for that. So we have to use energetic recovery. But to tell them, please give me all your plastic. I'm the expert. And my promise is I'm start working on that. And step by step, year by year, I can do more. This is an honest communication. And this is what the consumer understand and in the end accept. To tell industry, shared responsibility, a light version, doesn't make any sense. In France, for example, industry doesn't know what the 100% of the cost is. Why? Because the definition of 100% of the cost is done by the municipality. Congratulations if you know France and the mayors. Yeah, they subsidize with the money from industry a lot of other tasks that might be good tasks. But I'm a friend, or we are friends here in Germany. I have to say that, and from a strategic point, that is the direction to allocate the cost 100% to those party, to the party that has the ability to change the situation. And that was a clever decision by Mr. Töpfer as well. It's not the packaging producer who's paying the fee. It is the company making the packaging decision, because they have the power to tell the packaging producer, I don't want that packaging solution anymore. I would like to have 25% recycled content. And if you cannot deliver that, there are others on the market that might be ready to deliver that. So those who can change, and that is the company that decides for a packaging solution, buying it on the market, that is the company who pays the bill. And that was exactly the right decision in my eyes to change, to create the condition for change. And if you have to pay that for 100%, you integrate it into your sales price. That's fair.
Helmut, we have another question in the chat. Frank Althoff asked whether the chemical industry itself can realize circular economy, and that Frank Althoff doubts it, and that it is needed to embed product owners and consumers. Has any one of you an idea how we can achieve that?
Off Helmut's question, I'd like to chime in here, because I think the consumer is often suffering in that debate, in the sense of saying, yeah, but it's the littering, right? We should stop the littering, and littering is the problem. And I find this is a very much of a NIMBY discussion. Whenever I hear this, it's always interesting to hear who brings up this argument about, it's not my problem, it's the consumer in Southeast Asia who's throwing the stuff in the environment, and then it ends up in the oceans, right? Because here in Germany, we have 99% collection rate, right? So we are fine. And I would actually take a little even more drastic position than Helmut here. I would even say we should take it completely out of the hands of the consumer, because I'm operating a business where I always assume the consumer is really dumb, right? This consumer cannot be educated. This might be a bit, rough, because I know some people are very educated, and specifically the sustainability discussion makes us consumers more and more aware. But I was attending a conference, this was 2 years ago, from a competitor from the Green Dot, so I'm not going to say the name, and they shared information about consumer awareness, about how to separate plastic waste properly. And this is in Germany, huh? And the age bracket of those below 35 years old said they have a very high uncertainty. Every second person, more than 50%, said, I do not know how to separate my plastic waste properly. The age brackets above, those who are long enough, maybe were in the education wave when the dual system was introduced, they were much better and more certain. But even with all the changing packaging, I can understand that consumers get confused. And even more now with all these, let's say, the biodegradable plastics that should go into the bio bin, but no, actually not, because in the bio plants, they cannot disintegrate well, so they should go to the waste bin, the regular bin. And then what about the PLA? I mean, it's crazy. And I think to share a free information again here, or maybe a business idea to the audience, which I hope somebody picks it up, because I can tell you, before I started Surplus in this accelerator program, the actual idea that I worked on before was a smart bin idea. And that in itself is not unique, right? Smart bins have been around in the waste management sector for a while, mostly measuring the amount of waste that is in bin. But we have today the technology that can scan barcodes, that a camera that doesn't cost much to integrate into a bin, that would identify directly when you throw your waste away what kind of plastic it is. Yeah, you can identify even the brand from whom it was. And imagine putting a bin like this into every consumer's household. It's a question, of course, who finances it, because it's going to be more expensive than your regular bin. But imagine that we could do this pre-sorting that Helmut said, that is so important for improving the quality of post-consumer recycled plastics. Imagine we had that, and an entire city, we would know already at the consumer level what kind of plastic is being thrown away. Not even what kind of plastic, also what kind of brand's product is thrown away. I can assure you the brands, if we then somehow manage to separate all of the Procter & Gamble products and all of the Beiersdorf products and all of the Unilever products, I can assure you they're going to pay a lot of money to get that plastic back to them, because it's the packaging they've produced in the first place. So they know the recipe of the packaging. So that mechanical recycling becomes more attractive, and even other forms of recycling. So I really hope that somebody picks up that idea. Maybe I will do it one day if nobody does it, but it's obviously a scaling problem, because how do you get from 0 consumers having a smart bin to everybody having a smart bin? But still, I think that is where technology can help a lot. Why do we spend so much money on educating consumers with always changing packaging? And then we're always frustrated that there's a high rate of wrong waste sorting at the consumer level, and say, yeah, the consumer, we need to educate them more. I don't believe in it. I don't believe that it's ever possible to educate the consumer well enough that we have ideally 100% perfect throwaway rate at the consumer. Impossible. So why don't we use technology already there to take that difficult decision and this analysis decision out of the consumer's hands and into the hand of technology? And yes, I believe then that the chemical industry and the value chain has some role to play in saying who will foot the bill in making this thing happen. I'm obviously the one who then benefits the most from the business model. I don't have a clear-cut answer. I would say the brand owners, because if we, for example, just that example, the brand owners also would benefit from better knowing where their products end up. Because today it's a black box, right? They put their product on the market and then it ends up in some sorting facilities, if at all. So I would say the brand owners have the most to gain from improving the waste management sectors and making waste smarter. So I could see business model where brand owners finance such technologies, even because they could say, hey, I can use it for marketing, I can use it for recovery of my materials to really keep plastics in the loop. So my 2 cents.
Thanks. In the chat, we have some answers to your talk, Christian. Frank Althoff says that we are not collecting 99% of plastics. Our plastic goes beside Malaysia into European rivers and finally into the ocean. And he thinks that smart bins are at least a part of the solution, but smart might work in first world countries, but even here we produce too much waste. So it will be hard to find a solution for this amount of waste we produce.
Well, I would push back. We do collect 99% of the plastics. We don't recycle 99% of the plastics, at least in Germany, that is. Yeah. And at least according to the Zentrale Stelle Verpackungsregister, Frank, if you're listening, then it says that almost less than 1% goes abroad. I mean, 10% of the waste goes into the other countries, but not of the Leichtverpackungswaste. At least according to the statistics from the Zentrale Stelle Verpackungsregister, the Central Registry of Packaging, because I've also dug a little deeper on the data and asked, okay, but when we export the waste from Germany to the Netherlands, and excuse me, I was wrong on the data. It's been really rising to 30% roughly, but anyway, like exported to European countries, there was a high increase in this export. What happens when we export it to the Netherlands, and then from the Netherlands it gets shipped to abroad, right? So that's a bit difficult there with the chain of custody. But it is true that 99% is collected. It's just not recycled very well. That's it. And Frank, to your final point, I think when you create, it goes back to Helmut. Why would you even have an interest in throwing away your plastic waste if you could make money of it? Right? Today we treat waste as something that to get rid of, but in the future. And I can tell you the chemical industry is already interested in procuring a lot of feedstock waste for the chemical recycling pilot plants, right? So there you have it. People ask for it. They're willing to pay money for it, ideally cleanly sorted, pre-treated. But there you have it, you know, and then it worked with the deposit system, fund system. Once you give waste a value, it's not so much thrown away anymore because people will make money of it. And then they will bring it back and turn that waste into money. So I believe that just always works. And so it should work also for plastic waste.
This is why we avoid the wording waste, and we replace it by it's a resource, it's a used resource maybe. I saw in the chat function also that we are missing the international dimension. If I just read it shortly. Yes, that's right. But we have always front runners. Sorry, front runners. And I can assure you that the plastic strategy that was published in January 2018 by the European Union is read in all parts of the world. And this is the roadmap for the plastic industry globally. Believe me, my colleagues in Canada, in the US, and other parts, not all of them, I agree. But those who are open for the thesis that we have a problem that we have to solve, this is a very strong agenda, this plastic strategy. And if you want to prepare, and that is important, I think, for business and to develop business models, please read that roadmap. Also, if you look into the Green Deal, 750 billion euro for sustainability and digitalization. And if my information is right, it is the chemical industry that has placed a demand of 1 billion euro out of that 750 billion euro to do more research in the chemical recycling field. So
thank you, Helmut. I'm sorry, but we have only 2 more minutes to go. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Maybe we give everyone the possibility to say 1 sentence, and then I think we have to close. Maybe an idea if you have an idea to sum up or can mention some visions you have for the coming years, we would be happy to hear them.
Okay, I will just start. I've got here a profile from the window profile. You see inside recycling core and outside is virgin material. I would just say that because of the pressure in the 90s, this was chemical industry came together to solve or to start a circular economy in the PVC industry, and it worked out. And I would just say the chemical industry has the solutions, have already proven that it's possible in the PVC sector. So they should just apply it for polyethylene or polypropylene, talk to the people who are involved or were involved in the introduction and in the running of the system. And I think that would be at least the first step from our from our industry to start on a practical way, not just on a theoretical way, the way to circular economy.
Christian?
Well, the closing remarks, pushing frontiers, I would say, and it's a man-made problem, the plastic pollution problem, that can be solved by humanity, not just men, also women. And I would close with a very positive example from two companies that I'm aware of, without wanting to make too much advertisement here. REHAU, machine builder for recycling technology, is working on an HDPE food grade approval process for their recyclates, and it's gotten food grade approval already in the United States, and EFSA is now like looking into it. So that's very encouraging. That what Helmut mentioned in the other plastic, in the other polymers, there is a lot of there is movement going on. So this is one good example. And looking at polystyrol, it was just last week that, or 2 weeks ago, Styrenic Circular Solutions, the one you might know, is testing around that it shows that polystyrene can even be mechanically recycled for food contact. Yeah, and this is just, you know, where everybody says this is impossible. And we're talking quickly about other technologies as well, like chemical recycling. You're all aware of that. That's also ongoing. But I just wanted to highlight this example that whenever people probably already a year ago still said it's impossible to mechanically recycle polystyrene for polystyrol for food grade contact, well, here you have it. 1 year later, it's possible. So dare to push frontiers, and then recycling will hopefully become the norm in the years to come.
Helmut?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's man-made. We need a political will to change it. First. Second, circular economy is the solution. It belongs on the agenda of both the regulators, the politicians, and the business community. And if they work in a clever and intelligent way together, the problem will be solved.
Thanks.
Okay, last word from my side. I also can agree with all of you. I think we are at the beginning of the way, but they are already good examples that it can work. PVC provides PET, and well, there's still much to do, but we are on a good way, and it has to be done.
Thank you everyone for participating. I'm sorry that we could not answer all questions. We will have a look at the open questions after this, and if we can connect the question to your name, we try to answer you. I hope you all have a fruitful event at the ECP, many new contacts, and enjoy the day.